There we
Yay.
go. Hey, hey.
How's it going, Leonard?
It's going great, Carla. How are you doing today?
Good. Very
Awesome.
nice.
Yes. So, welcome everyone to the How to Film at Home webinar, free webinar. My name is Leonard Patterson with Indie Band Coach, and I am excited to be here this afternoon with the lovely Carla Escobar. How are you doing?
I'm
What,
doing
what?
good. Good. Good to see
Yay.
you.
You
Yes.
too. Yes, so we've got a few people. I see people signing in. So as they're signing in, I'm gonna
Okay.
like look at the. If it looks like I'm distracted, I actually have the actual Facebook group up on my phone so that I can see when people join and make sure that we get in.
Okay.
So I'm not, you know, I'm not like
Distracted, not paying
texting. Yeah,
attention.
right. So as people are getting signed in, I just wanted to just real quick because I'm excited to have had a chance to work with Carla before, just in different aspects. She's a jack of many trades, and I was excited because when Jessica and I first made our first trip out to LA when she was performing,
It's a long time
we
ago already.
I know we did. We were doing a music conference, and yeah, we were performing. Everything was cool, and we ran into this ray of sunshine who was working for Entertainment Tonight at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and yeah, she's like, "Oh yeah, you guys are, she's awesome. I'd love to, connect and do a quick interview or what have you." And so we kind of talked then, but then, that was only a few days. But then over the years, we kept in touch and connected, and we made a couple trips. So when Jessica and I officially moved out here, Carla,
Yeah,
yeah,
finally. Took
what?
forever.
I know, but yeah, Carla was one of our welcoming committees, and in addition to producing and all of the very cool technical stuff that she does, she's also an awesome foodie. So just having her tell us where the best restaurants were and all that was awesome. So yes, welcome, Carla. Thank you so much for
Thank
taking the
you.
time to um, do this and connect and just share
Yes.
some of your info. Um, so real quick, as we're getting going here, if you could take just a couple of seconds to let me know or let us know just a little
Hmm.
bit about Wise Owl and maybe a little bit of your background. I kind of skipped over it, but there's so
Yeah.
much more than that. But
Exactly.
yeah,
Well, obviously, you guys now know how I met Leonard, but
yeah.
my background has always been in production. I've been wanting to be in production since before I was in college. So as soon as I left school, I worked for Paramount Pictures and I did international marketing there for a little bit. But I knew deep down that I really wanted to do production. Like that was my number one passion. That's what I graduated with. So shortly after, I was able to get into the production crew for CBS's Entertainment Tonight and The Insider. And within like a year and a half, I was able to move up to segment producer and eventually supervising and coordinating live telecasts and different specials that we were doing with some of the biggest artists across the country because that was our main forte as far as my department was the music entertainment. And I noticed that there was a lot of difficulty in getting, at that time there wasn't Instagram. There was
Mhm.
barely a huge attention on creating content for yourself. People were still not really in the know. And so I was really involved in digital at our show. And I really felt a need to want to work on the other side and help create digital content for people that weren't really in the know of the image development that they wanted to do with their brand. And so I started
Gotcha.
Wise Owl Media Group 6 years ago, and it's a production company also with post-production and production consulting, and we've gotten to work with amazing companies, everything from anime companies like Bang Zoom, Google Play, various brands like Eversmile White, but the list goes on and
Nice.
on. But we are definitely, always trying to figure out ways to help people with their
Yes,
content creation.
that's awesome. And speaking of content creation, if you had a chance to see the trailer for this actual webinar, which was like, she's like, "Oh, I'm just gonna whip something together real quick," and I'm like, "Okay, cool." I was expecting an image with the little text. I'm like, what? That's dope. Anyway, but yeah, that she literally produced the trailer for that. So I mean, that's the kind of work that she does, day in, day out. Now, obviously, work has changed probably for you as well here over the last month or so. Like, how has
Yes.
that kind of the last month? How's that really affected your business? Like,
Well, I
what
think
changed?
for freelancers and small business owners, it's definitely difficult when you can't go out and film events or film, interviews. So there was definitely a having to switch gears a little bit. And I, for a long time have been developing media training and been doing Zoom conferences with actors from places like Viacom, Nickelodeon, and different platforms. And so for me, it was really just about figuring out how I could still create very important content and at the same time develop my media training platform, because this kind of interaction is going to be something that I think is only going to grow from now on, and it's
Yeah.
something that we should be just a little bit more comfortable with as
Mhm.
we move into that. So I think that's been more of my thing, is how can I also continue to flourish my business but in other arenas that are a little bit more of just digital based.
Gotcha. Awesome. That makes perfect sense. And speaking of your role and all that, for those of you that are tuning in, if you wouldn't mind, first of all, hello and welcome again. But if you wouldn't mind just taking a quick second to drop in the comments, like what your role is, and or maybe what your occupation is, and like kind of what you're wanting to maybe see, or like how you're using digital media or how you're using video or live streaming, just so that we can kind of see who's here, and maybe also tell us where you're tuning in from. I know we've got a few people here from the West Coast, but I know that my man George Gibbons is in Indianapolis. He's a longtime friend and acquaintance I used to work with. But yeah, let us know what you do, and like what kind of
Yes, we want to
content
hear
that
from
you're
you guys.
producing. Yeah, let us know what you're doing there. So, with all of that said, the presentation and what we're going to be discussing today is literally about how to film at home, and how to really kind of take probably what a lot of us have been doing on stage and transferring that whole dynamic to online. And it's not necessarily live stream, because I know for those of you that follow me, I've been sharing a lot of live stream stuff. And if you have been online at all in the last in the last few weeks, you've probably seen many live streams and a lot of live stream concerts and things like that. But what I really liked about when I had this conversation with Carla, that it was about filming at home, whether it's recorded, whether it's live streamed. So it's kind of like taking it back from the presentation of it and really looking at the foundation and things like that. So
Yeah, because you got to start somewhere, because, once you get comfortable at filming at home, you'll be able to do things like live streaming, editing, and a lot of those things a lot simpler.
mhm, definitely. So real quick, my friend Ellen is here. She's like, I'm from Boston.
Hey,
I'm
Ellen.
What's up? She is a Jewish early childhood music performer, composer, ritual worship leader, and confidence coach. And plus, I'm the gluten free diva. Nice.
Nice.
Awesome. And Nahuel, I hope I'm
Noel.
pronouncing there. Noel, thank you. Underground musician from Argentina with a day job in IT. Nice. Awesome. Thank you
Awesome.
so much for hanging out. I'm a producer. I'm not sure who this is, but I can probably tell in there. Producer with television development and programming from NYC.
Very nice.
Very cool. So yeah, thank you all for that. So yeah, we do have folks from all over, and um, and I think this is George. It's like, hey, LP, I'm watching to share with my teenage grandsons who are into video. Nice.
Very good.
One for music, the other for blogging. Very cool. Awesome. Well, thank you all for tuning in, and please, drop in any questions that you have. And what we'll do is, I'm about to share Carla's screen, and she's got a few slides that we'll discuss, and we're going to talk about the pretty much your space, the gear, some gear options, and then also in addition to gear, like some of the apps that can be used to kind of help edit and things like that, but also working the camera, which Carla's really, awesome at being a media coach and things like that, but also uploading just some of the things to help repurpose. So after each one of those, we'll see, if you've got questions, but please feel free to chime in and text any questions, or not text, but make any comments with questions that you have, and we'll see how we can get those answered. And you know what? If we don't know the answer, we'll get it. You know?
We'll get the answer.
Exactly. We're going to get it. All right. Let's see.
Right. Space.
Yes. So yes, filming at home. So Carla, talk to us about space. Talk to us about the environment and just
Yes.
Some of the things that are important for us to be aware of.
So I think before you even start to film anything, thinking about the space where you're going to film is very essential. There's a lot of issues sometimes with where we live, because a lot of us live in very noisy cities. Maybe some of us live in small studios or in very busy households with kids running around right now. So finding a space where you can avoid distracting backgrounds is one of the first steps. And so as you can see here, I have a green screen in the background because when I film here in my studio at home, I want to have a specific space where I can not only control the environment so that it doesn't look too distracting, but I can add almost any background I want. But for people who don't have green screens, I would look for some space in your apartment that or location wherever you're filming that doesn't have too many distracting backgrounds, but also that you're not in an area where there's not a lot of light. Because if you don't own lighting equipment, you can use some of the natural light from a window. Or you can use some of the lighting in your room just by turning on some of the lamps and things like that. But making sure that you're looking for a space that you're also comfortable with is going to be something that's also going to create consistency in your shooting, because now you're in a space that isn't distracting, a space where is natural lighting, that's not too noisy. And now it's something that I can go to every single day to film, because you want something that's going to be quick for filming. So what I mean by that is that you want a space that is going to be serving the purpose of you creating your content and getting in and out and not having to reset a background every time. Because right now when we're filming at home, it's more about the consistency of punching out content that people are going to enjoy versus worrying about how amazingly fantastic the background looks. It could be a plain white background, as long as you're avoiding things like too much darkness or even noise, because you don't want that window open even if you're using it for natural light. But just know that it doesn't have to be fancy. I think that sometimes when people think about filming at home, they kind of think, well, my place is messy, or I live with kids that are, I'm not constantly like worrying about my space looking perfect. Well, don't worry about that. Find a small space that is going to be not only comfortable, but like I mentioned, that is going to not distract you from noise and all those kind of things that are going to make it difficult to go back to every day to shoot. You want to go back every day and shoot in that space. That's why I love my office here, because it's a space that I want to go back to all the time to shoot, because it's quiet. It's a space that I can control the lighting and I can control the background.
Mm-hmm. And that's, just your space to just thinking about what you just said, wanting to go back to it. That kind of also makes me think of a place that you don't have to necessarily set up every time, if possible. Mm-hmm. Obviously,
for musicians that could be difficult, because you have like guitars or you have drum sets and things like that. And so you want it so that it really is simple for you, because your job isn't necessarily becoming a videographer in this process. It's about being comfortable with filming. So what you do for a living, whether you're an artist, a band member, a musician, or you're a filmmaker like me who's more concentrated on stuff like food and you want to do food videos, well, it's really about just making sure that it's something you enjoy, so that the whole process of setting this up doesn't become a nuisance or something that you don't want to go back to. And I think that's what people sometimes have this sort of analysis by paralysis when it comes to when they first start thinking about where to shoot. And really, it's just being aware of the simple things, which is my place noisy? Is someone going to be distracted by what's happening in my background? And is this a space that I feel comfortable going back to every single day? And believe me, people don't care about the fanciness of the background. They care more about what you're doing on camera. So the more you can distract them from what's going on in the background, the better it's going to be for you to project the impact of your content.
That's cool. And so just giving me a quick critique, like I didn't necessarily set this up for video. This was just a wall, but like I'm sitting in front of my window. So this is a window. I used to have my desk faced like perpendicular to it. I used to have it perpendicular so that there was a wall like right behind me. So how would you just, how would you rate my background right now? Is that like too busy? Is it like kind of decorative? Like,
so I actually, what I like is that you have uniformity in the background with the lights and like the two sort of are those speakers or like curtains?
Those are like level, like they're leather panels that I think we actually got them at a garage sale. They're supposed to be a headboard, but we didn't have the stand for it. We're like, you know what? Let's just. So we've been carrying them around here for the last 3 years, but we just use them like that.
But not only that, but I feel like what's also great is the lighting. The fact that you moved to have the lighting come straight to you is fantastic, because some people, if they have it from one side, when the light starts going down during the day, you're going to have to start turning on a lot of lamps just to get a little bit of lighting on you. And then also you don't want to have any windows behind you, because when you backlight, you actually can become darker, or you can just get so much glare that people won't be able to see certain details in your face. Or if you're doing like an instructional on certain instruments, like they won't be able to see what you're doing. We do have a couple of questions. I don't know if we want to look into any of those.
Yeah, I see. Says I don't shoot much video, but I'm familiar with photography lighting for green screen. I assume a lighting setup is the same for video.
Okay, so it is a little bit different, because when you're doing photography, sometimes when you are doing pretty much any setup for photography, you're using flash, which also gives you that extra, that extra light that you need to really grab details, and you can't necessarily do that with video. So with green screen for video, you do have to consider, sometimes I love shooting with LED panels to avoid heat, because you're going to be on camera for a while, so you don't want to have too much sweat. So usually LED panels. Yeah, so LED panels are really affordable, by the way, just on a side note. And they're also, something that controls the heat very well. And they're also bicolor, so you can go easily from, blue to more warm color, depending on like what you want to do. And not to get too technical, but again, with photography lighting, there's some additionals that you get with your equipment. But of course, if you have a great camera that you can manipulate ISO very well and aperture, and you have at least 3 to 4 lights with you, you should be able to get a pretty good photo setup or video setup for green screen. So I hope that kind of answers the question.
Awesome. And that was from George. Thank you, George. Awesome question. And then, Ellen.
Ellen has a good one. Well, Ellen, I'd actually like to know what kind of other spaces you were thinking in your house, but in regards to this, that you began filming in your kitchen, and the cans and the ceiling offer terrible lighting. So if you're doing food videos, maybe try and do stuff that's maybe like your camera's a little bit more overhead, so it's not focusing so much on what's happening in the ceiling. But if you're not doing food videos and you're just starting to film at your house, definitely find a space where you could prop your camera. We'll talk about gear in a second, because I know some people have questions about gear, but a space where you can prop the camera that will give you some natural light in your house. And just make sure that it's a place that doesn't have so much echo as well, because if you're saying the kitchen tends to have tile floor sometimes, or things like that. So maybe avoid that unless you're doing food videos, which, if that's the case, that I would just try and see what other space within your kitchen you could put the camera that could be a little bit lower and kind of distract from what's happening above.
Awesome. Very cool. Awesome. And yeah, I just messaged George. But yeah, he's asking about audio. But like you said, I think we're going to touch on
Yeah,
that
well, let's go to
in just a
gear.
second. Let's talk about the gear.
All
And
right.
let me get.
So, yeah, so I know some people were asking about gear, so that's great.
Yeah. Yeah, we planned that, George. Good job, buddy. Cool. So yeah, Carla, just, obviously there are countless options of things that people could do. But what are some of the like recommendations, like kind of narrowing it down to like a smaller field of
Yes.
stuff that you've used and just kind of like how you think it could benefit someone, especially either at beginning level or even
Yes.
someone that might just want to refresh.
Yeah, because I mean, when you go on Instagram and you see photographers and you got this big DSLR fancy $7,000 plus camera, it can be intimidating for people and they're like, I'm not going to do this anymore. But the reality, you guys, is that we have this beautiful thing called a phone. And our phones will allow us to do so much. And that's part of what we're going to be talking about today. But basically, using what you got is the first bullet point on here, because you might have a cyber shot small camera. You might have a mirrorless camera that you're borrowing from a friend, or you actually have, your phone with you. All phones nowadays have even up to 4K capability. So we have great quality that comes from our phones. So don't prevent yourself from creating content just because you don't have the fanciest equipment, because the truth is that you can create some amazing content that goes viral from your phone. Look at what's happening right now with apps like TikTok. This isn't something that people are using fancy equipment. It really is just using their phone to create some of the most hilarious viral videos. And so use what you got. But also, when you're using what you got, you still have to be aware of certain things like your space, which we talked about. And the other thing is your phone settings. So that's something you also have to be very aware of when it comes to your gear. I still to this day will get videos from people that they shoot behind the scenes, or they'll shoot with their friends at places, and then they want to make bigger videos out of it, and it's done in 720, or it's done in like 520 resolution. And basically, there's no excuse for that. When you go onto your phone, literally there isn't. I just have to be honest, because we all know what HD looks like, and it's so easy to do those settings on your phone. So whether you don't know how to do that, because whether it's Android or a Google, or you have a iPhone, you can ask someone in your house to easily go into your phone settings and change the video settings on there. And just make sure that your video settings are set to 1080p or higher. If you have 4K, amazing. Usually the back cameras have higher resolution than the front cameras. So when you're doing a selfie, more videos like this, you might want to start getting used to flipping them if you want to start getting better resolution, if you are wanting to get into the 4K realm of shooting with your phone. But check your phone settings. If you don't know how to check your phone settings, someone in your house will. You can either go through your camera and go through video settings there, or go through the main settings on your phone, but make sure 1080 or above, for sure.
Awesome.
And then also about affordability. You were talking about, things that are kind of in our range. There are actually tons of cameras. If you're like, I'm not going to do my phone, I want to do something that is a little bit higher level, or I'm going to be streaming a lot, so I want a professional camera. Well, there's a lot of affordable mirrorless cameras and DSLR cameras under $500. And there's huge companies like Sony and Canon and that make these cameras. And so if you do have, a little bit of money to spend, you can go in that direction, because affordable is available. But if you already have your phone, that's honestly the best way to go. Not only because right now we want to save as much money as possible if we're not working, especially, but it's also just something we already have in our possession. So why go and look for something else when we don't need to, right? And then every piece of equipment that you have, whether it's your phone or a camera, there's tons of awesome essentials that you could buy to add to your gear that, again, will not break the bank. So the stands that Ellen is talking about are actually tripods. So I actually have one here that I wanted to show you guys because they all range from different, sizes and different, all kinds of different brands. But this is a Joby tripod. And these Joby tripods are called grip pods because these gorilla pods, excuse me, because they grip onto anything. So you can actually put this around the balcony of like the pole of your balcony of your house, or you can tie it onto a different, sort of, space in your house and kind of put it up and, prop it up on a light or something. But the reason these gorilla pods are great is because not only they're affordable, but you can actually take them with you wherever you go because they're light. And not only are they light, but they're also, very affordable. And you can go up from there. There's also other tripods like the one I have on my left right here. This is a very big tripod. And those start going in the hundreds of dollars. So you can literally go on Amazon and just look up affordable tripods, look up Manfrotto or Gobi, or there's a couple of other companies that I would recommend. Maybe looking at Geekoto, which is spelled like with geek and then Oto at the end of it, and then K&F is another K&F is another great brand. But these are really affordable, guys. We're talking about like some that are less than 20 bucks. And you can actually get some that are made for your phone. So when you look up the settings, look up iPhone tripod or iPhone Gorilla Pod or Android compatible tripod. Whatever it may be, make sure you're putting what device you have, and they will give you a huge selection. And the reason I suggest Amazon is because we can't really drive to Sammy's right now. They tend to have higher prices, and Amazon right now is delivering like crazy. And so I feel like when it comes to accessibility, it tends to be a little bit better for the everyday, creator versus some of the more professional creators that will go to somewhere like a Sammy's or a B&H to go get some equipment. And the other thing is also to consider things like recorders. If you're a musician or if you're someone who's going to be doing a lot of audio, the phone audio is great. It could be pretty good, but there is a lack of depth, right, when you're doing audio. And so there's things called voice recorders. And again, there's a lot of different options. There's Sony, Olympus. I wrote down a few other great ones, Zoom, and these voice recorders are very easy to use. This is a more professional grade one that I'm showing you guys, but there's some that were made by Tascam, Zoom as well, the same brand as this. Rode as well as Olympus have made recorders that are really affordable. We're talking about recorders that are under $40. You can find some for 36 bucks. And without getting too much into the prices, the whole point of the recorder is so that you can start recording more depth with your audio. So you can start doing, for example, layered vocals. If you're an artist and you want to do something and you're like, oh, I want to do like some layered vocals with some layered, sounds. Yeah. This is the type of equipment that will let you do that. So again, there is affordable options for this. And with audio, if you're like, I can't afford a recorder, you can go even cheaper and just get a lavalier. Boya has this awesome, I can actually pull it up on my screen because I think I had pulled it up beforehand. But there's this Boya microphone. And these are really, there's a couple other companies that do these, but basically the whole point of this microphone is it's a plug and play. So literally for like 20 bucks, you can get a microphone that just goes straight into your phone. You clip it onto yourself and you have professional audio going straight onto your videos. So you don't have to sync up and do anything crazy in editing because the whole point is to make this easy.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to ask about the Zoom audio recorder that you just had. Like, how is that technically like used? Is that something that is plugged into your source, or is it just
so the recorders will usually have SD cards, like a memory cards, and they're battery operated. They do plug as well because people want continuous if they're doing like a really long live stream or something. Right. But I don't think we we need to get into too much of that. But the cool thing with
Right.
this is it allows you to level. So you can control the peaking, which sometimes you can't when you're doing music and you're doing it on
Hmm.
your phone. Sometimes you might not be able to control that as easily. So you can do that with recorders, is by moving knobs or setting a certain level, you can actually limit the peaks of your audio. And the cool thing is once you get your lavaliers and you start upgrading your kit, you can actually plug certain lavs into this and now
Mm,
start opening up to multiple channels. So that's what I meant by the
gotcha.
layered vocals, is that if you want to record yourself, doing drums and then you want to record the vocals, this will allow you to separate files and create that in the edit bay. So it's a little bit more on the
Ah,
professional side,
yeah.
but since we are musician, we're talking about some of it is for musicians or
Yeah.
content creators that do this on a daily basis.
Yeah.
This is the next step, guys. So it's
That's
not to
cool.
get too ahead, but it's like if you're like, well, I already use a lav, or I really have been using audio on my phone forever, start exploring with things like recorders, because they're not only affordable, but great brands make them. Like I love Sony, I love Zoom, and they're really
Hmm.
user friendly. These are not things that will be impossible for you to learn,
Sure.
especially when we're talking about something like this lav. It really is a plug and play, and you can easily just have it go straight into your phone, plug it, and then record yourself, because sometimes they're wireless or sometimes they have really long cords. If you want to
Yeah.
go old school, right?
Yeah.
Are you looking for yours? Are you
Yeah. I'm
looking for
like,
it?
it's around here somewhere. Actually, I was planning at one point to um, be at venues and go like interview musicians and things like that. Which, it's so sad I can't even do that now if I wanted to. But not only do I have a single lavalier, but I actually got a double one. So like it's got two, I don't know, 20-foot things.
Yeah.
So like I could be across the room, but we both have lavs on. I'm like,
Yeah, but
I
what's so
got,
great is that
yeah.
lavs, when I learned lavs, I learned on like Sennheiser, like pro wireless, like, lavs. But the truth is that the fact that there's available lavs for $20 that you can
Hmm.
plug in your phone and just upgrade your audio by just that much
Yeah.
is really something to take into account. And we will share a list of
Yes.
some of these things. I'll aggregate a list of the tripods and some of the other gear we're going to be talking about. And
Yeah.
really, the next part that we're going to be talking about in regards to gear is once you have your setup ready to go and you've recorded your stuff, is also having an editing software. Now, when people think of editing software, they immediately go to Avid, Adobe Premiere, and all the bigger, Final Cut
Right. Yeah.
brands. But the truth is that there's a lot of accessible free things that you can use to edit. One of the softwares that I recommend that is free to download and to use is something like Filmora. Filmora has cool transitions. You don't even have to worry about animation and all that stuff. It actually is a pretty comprehensive editing software. And I also love Adobe Premiere, by the way, but we are trying to keep this more at a basic. So I also
Yeah.
recommend that if you have a Mac and you have iMovie, use it to your advantage, because some people think, well, I'm editing. I always hear this, oh yeah, I just edited on iMovie. What? You edited that on iMovie? It's amazing. So the thing is that there are already apps even already in your systems like a Mac that are already there for you. You don't even have to buy any editing software. So the cool thing is that my point in talking about editing software in this part is to just show you guys that there's a lot of free resources out there. And we will actually get into more of like specific apps on your phone that you can edit with. But just for the purpose of this, iMovie, Filmora, even DaVinci, which has Resolve has not a studio version that you pay for, but they have a free version as well. And they have free tutorials online and all kinds of videos that you can access to learn. So, and I actually teach people how to edit on these softwares and how to edit on different apps on their phones. So that's a service that we offer through our consulting. So if you're ever like, I have this software, but I don't know how to use it, we can always help
Yes.
with something like that.
Yes.
And the piece of gear that people forget about all the time is social media accounts. Because tell me something, Leonard. When you signed up for TikTok, did anyone say, like, I can't believe you're signing up for that thing? Or even when it came to Instagram, did you ever get any of that backlash for signing up for like the next best app?
Yeah, and it was weird because I guess it's just how you picture the platforms. Like if you picture them as, you know, a location or a community or something, or if you picture them as what you could use them for, then it just kind of depends on your role there. So that's yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I
Well,
got
the
some kind of
reason I was bringing that up is because a lot of people, will be like, oh, well, I'm just on Facebook. But when you are an artist, when you are a creator, you are a brand and you have to get out there in a very organic way, and you're not really going to know who your audience is if you're just posting on Facebook or
mm,
you're just posting on Instagram, especially if you're not verified now that things are so about that, who's the most has the most followers and all that. Well, you can get really far by just being a part of a lot of different apps that you like the best, finding which one has the most of your audience, exploring that, and then continually posting on these platforms. But I
mhm,
just think that a lot of the time, that's why I included in here, is a lot of people forget that that is part of your gear. These are free things that you can
mhm,
access from your phone to easily
yes,
do live streaming, to do, edited content. So it's so
yeah,
important that if you guys haven't downloaded things like, Instagram or TikTok, or haven't tried Facebook Live or Snapchat, like, explore some of those platforms, because you'll be surprised. There's audiences that are throughout all of those. So that has to be a part of your little toolbox for sure.
yeah, and that is one of the things that I've noticed even just over the last year or so, specifically with Instagram, for example. Just sometimes I will go in and I will like take a picture of like my son or something like that, but I'll go in, take the picture into Instagram stories and edit it in there and just save it. Like because you
Mhm.
can do little gifs and stuff like that, and it's so easy to use. So like I've literally used, Instagram stories as a, you know,
And
picture
they actually
editor.
they carry a higher engagement anyway. So if you're doing
Yeah.
that and you're saving to your phone, you can repost it in other places. So, and just a quick little comment about some of the things that they were saying on the site about some of these other free apps or free
Yeah.
trials for editing. I did want to mention that Adobe Premiere is doing 2 months free right now as well for their Adobe suite. So if you do
Nice.
want to edit on things like on Premiere, or if you want to learn how to edit on things like Lightroom and Photoshop for your photos that you're going to be, posting on your socials, those are also some affordable things to look at right now.
Very cool. Sweet. Yeah, great questions, everyone. Keep them coming. And then George says, what I like about Filmora is your video can be converted to various platforms. Phone, well, I'm sure others have the same, which I think you're going to touch on the uploading and the post production a little bit here in a couple
Yes, yes, because
couple
I see
slides.
that. Well, I know that Noel had asked a question in regards to a camera that he recommends.
Ah,
Yeah, there we go. That's
mm-hmm,
straight to the computer. Okay, so depends on your computer,
mm-hmm,
because you might have an old laptop and stuff. So if you have like a HDMI sort of capabilities, which most older Macs do, or you can get adapters now,
mm-hmm.
that actually works really well with Canons and Sonys. I really think that those are so, and when I say Canon, I'm talking about you could do as, I would say the 5D series, but the Mark IV, but then you're starting to get into the thousands of dollars with cameras. So I don't want to recommend something that's too expensive, but those are the level of cameras that will allow you to get the quality that you're looking for, the autofocus that you need, and also going straight into your camera. Because that's the one thing, is that when you go to some cameras that are a little bit on the lower grade, you have to look at those things like, does it have autofocus? Because if you're going to put it and then it's going to go straight into your computer, but you're not able to see your monitor and all those things, you might
Mm,
actually end up getting things that are out of focus. So when it comes to cameras, if it's going to be going straight to the computer, I would recommend Canon, Sony, the Alpha series for Sony, the 5D series, or the EOS mirrorless series for Canon.
awesome. Thank you guys. Good questions.
Yes.
Good comments.
So
Yeah.
the apps.
Yeah. Let me get this up here.
All right. This is kind of my favorite part, I gotta say. Because I loved learning how to edit. on apps. It's crazy how we have all this right at our hands, so accessible.
It's kind of like, phones have become just these small, just literally like supercomputers, and it's like,
Yeah, I remember dial-up, and now it's like I get crazy if Wi-Fi drops for like a minute.
Second. Yeah.
But talking about these apps, guys, we mentioned previously on the gear, the fact that you need to have some of these social media apps. I didn't list all of them here, obviously, but I did want to talk about what each of these kind of provides in case you haven't actually explored a lot of these arenas. Some people are trying to log in to watch but cannot.
Where do we see that from?
That was a Facebook user right now, just posted that.
Let me see here. Any tips? I don't see any member requests. Yeah, I've been approving. I've got my little phone up here.
See if they've made a request, or the Facebook user, see if your friend has made a request to join the group.
Oh, hey, Karen. Yeah, it's a private group. It's our own little webinar room. Hey, Anthony, what's up, buddy? Thank you for joining.
We got them?
Well, I did see someone else just join here. I'm not sure who Karen might be doing, but Karen, if you can maybe message me or send me a little message or something, let me know. We can try to get folks on as we go through here.
Okay.
Looks like Kathleen is just joining.
Yay!
Awesome.
Okay,
cool.
So we're about to get into that, Ellen, because actually Filmora on phone is different than Filmora online. So we'll get into that right now. So in regards to the app, so first one that we have on here is Instagram. What's amazing about Instagram is obviously, become pretty much the #1 platform when it comes to photo and video distribution, since before, TikTok kind of started hitting the market. But the great thing with Instagram is that, a lot of people started saying that it was becoming difficult for people to see their feed. But the thing is that other areas of this app, including IGTV and Instagram stories, have actually become very, very popular, and not just engagement, but also, as you mentioned, creating more creative posts with music, with GIFs, and with different things that make it a little bit more eye-catching. So if you haven't tried Instagram stories or IGTV, one of the things you need to know is that when it comes to IGTV, there is going to be specific formats that you have to upload your videos, and every video has to be over a minute. It can be a minute and a second long, up to 10 minutes, but you have to be aware of that because you can't just upload any video on there. It has to be formatted for your phone, which is usually a 9:16 or a 1:1 format. So what does that actually look like? Let me see if I could quickly through my Dropbox share with you guys what the difference is really quick on my screen. It will take literally a second. So this is a 9:16 format. And then we have other 9:16 formats where it actually fills the whole screen. So if you can see, that looks like a mobile phone. So there's different formats that you can do, but that is something that you have to be aware of when posting on IGTV. You can't just post wherever. So that's why we will talk about specific apps in a second where you can export things to look like this, ready to go from your phone. So let's go back to this. Okay, so with Facebook, Facebook is a little bit more lax. For Facebook, your video just has to be like the video we're looking at right now, just a 9:16, sorry, a 16:9, regular squared format. So you don't have to worry so much about formatting there. But the cool thing is that because Facebook and Instagram, the reason you should have both apps, in my opinion, is that both apps, because they're owned by the same company, they are both connected. So you could actually be posting your Instagram stories and have them go straight to your Facebook stories without having to go to Facebook and actually repost them. So if you're someone who has kids and who's already spent all day editing this dang thing, and you're like, I'm tired, these are why these apps are so awesome, because you can just post it on one and share it with all these other apps. So I love Facebook for that reason. Obviously, some of the programmatic stuff that happens is a little funky. So if you don't have Facebook, just use it specifically for your brand. If you don't want to focus so much on the personal, create a like page and have your live streams and your posts and everything go through there, in case you don't like Facebook for those reasons. And then with Twitter, the cool thing with Twitter is that you can post video. I think they still have a time limit there as well as they do on Instagram. So be aware of those time limits, but the format is also just like Facebook and YouTube. So don't have to worry so much about formatting your videos for Twitter. But what I actually would recommend Twitter for more, to be honest, is as a promotional text version of what you're doing. So like if you have a new video that's popping up, go on there and repost and say, hey, check out my new video, hashtag, all those good things, but use it as a way of just promotion and communicating with people who have questions about your projects. It's not really the main platform to be posting your videos every single day as the #1 platform. Just use it as a secondary platform to promote what you're posting on YouTube or Facebook or Instagram, because it's such a great information resource, but I just don't think it's like the main resource for video as far as for people to go there first for your video. So don't make it the #1, I would say. I don't know if you agree.
I do agree. It might just be just from my own experience and just Twitter is like my third or fourth social platform down the list of where I drive content to. I've tried to be consistent with it, and I've tried to schedule things just as I have been growing my business. Like, I haven't really been able to find that sweet spot for me to have the resource versus the time like actually play out well. So like it's still kind of like a secondary or tertiary kind of thing for me.
Yeah, and use Twitter, like I said, as far as the text is, like, for example, let's just say for one of your videos, you want to do a Q&A about the latest video you posted and you want to get reactions from people. That's like a great way to say, hey guys, I'm posting a video tomorrow. It's a Q&A. Send me your questions. That again is a good resource for those kind of conversations, but I definitely wouldn't use it as the #1 place to post your stuff first. So now the other thing is, once you have your videos filmed on your phone or on your camera, when it comes to filming videos from your camera, I would recommend anything like Filmora, Adobe, iMovie, because it's going to be more compatible with your computer. But the ones that we're going to talk about right now are what's compatible with your phone, that still actually include a lot of these brands that you're software that maybe you're used to using. So one of the ones that we have on here is Filmora Go. Filmora Go is actually the Filmora version for your phone. It is still free to download and is actually pretty awesome to use. So that is also really, really good. Adobe Premiere does have it for your phone now, but honestly, guys, it's almost like a disservice to Adobe Premiere because it's like has so much you can do with it. So like, don't limit yourself. If you have Adobe Premiere, just go on your computer and edit on that. But if you're like, I don't know how to put a transition or a filter on anything, I absolutely love InShot. InShot is a great video editing app for your phone. The symbol is this little sort of like pink camera looking thing. And what InShot does is it allows you to upload personal logos like PNGs. It allows you to export in different formats. So if you want to export your video for IGTV 9:16, you are allowed to, you can go easily in there and canvas your video, any video you have, to be fit into that setting. You can do things for different platforms too. So it'll even give you the symbol. Are you posting this on Facebook? Are you posting it on Instagram? So for people who really are more used to just seeing that app icon every time they go, they'll recognize how easy it is to use. And you can do other amazing things with the app. For example, it has effects that you can add. So I was able to do a dance video for a company that I do consulting for. And there was, every time the girl would do a move, there'd be like squiggles and stuff like that. And it's just like, I could have done that, but it would have taken me hours and hours. And so the fact that you have something that accessible, that you can create these weird, these really cool things is really awesome. Let me actually just double check something for Ellen, because she's saying that she can't actually find Filmora Go on her Play Store or her App Store. So let's see if it's Filmora. And I am seeing it. I don't know if you have an iPhone and if that makes a difference, because Filmora Go, one word, no space. So if I put a space on there on accident. So Filmora Go, no space. See if that works, because it is a free video editor and it came up pretty quick. Are you seeing it, Leonard?
I'm pretty sure it's on
here. And the other one that I have on here is Quick by GoPro. Quick is pretty awesome as well, because they actually have some already pre-made editing templates. So when you put your video in there and you choose action, sequence, it will make your video into a giant action sequence. The only problem is that you can't just customize that once you choose that, you can't just like customize that and make the colors different and everything. So like it really is a template. So like you're going to be using the template they give you. So you don't have too much access to manipulate that. But for someone, again, who doesn't know anything about transitions and wants to just post a really cool like teaser for their music video or teaser for their upcoming video, you can upload on there, and it also lets you export in different formats, which is what you're going to need whether you're doing Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. So the great thing is that whether you like Filmora Go, whether you like InShot, whether you like Quick, all of these will allow you to export straight from your phone to whatever format you need for all these social media platforms. And that's something that used to not be around. So the fact that now we can do that is really amazing, because I think some people, when it comes to specs like that, can get really overwhelmed and sometimes won't know how to post the video, and so they don't post it. You can easily upload your gallery of videos straight from your phone to there, trim it, slice it, add transitions. And there's tutorials that I do for things like this. So if you ever want to learn how to edit on your phone through these apps, I've used all of these and they're actually great. The one that's my favorite is definitely InShot and Filmora Go. I think Quick is a little bit more difficult to use, but I do love the fact that you can add your own music, you can add your own logos, transitions, things that you could not have imagined.
And yeah, just a quick check-in from my end. I am on iPhone and went to the App Store, and I do not see Filmora Go.
That's really sad.
Yeah, or Filmora. Like I just did Filmora and I don't.
So I guess we just discovered something, that Android seems to be the only one that has Filmora Go, because I easily pulled it up in like a second. So I'm sorry about that, guys, but if you are looking for Filmora and you have an Android, you will be able to find it in your Play Store, not if you're on an iPhone. But you should be able to find InShot on there. InShot works across all platforms. So, and it's really user friendly. So I would say like that's like really one that you can go to. Have you found any way to use phone-based programs if you shot on a non-phone camera? Yes, Um, if
questions.
you have videos that are already on your computer, laptop that weren't shot on your phone, you can upload, which we're going to talk about in a second, but you're going to be uploading it onto one of the specific platforms that we're going to mention, whether it's Google Drive, Dropbox. We'll get more in depth with that, but you'll be able to, because sometimes they're old videos. I'm assuming these might be old videos that you filmed back in the day or something like that. So what you would have to do is just make sure that you then make that Google Drive or Dropbox app on your phone so you can download it and save it to your device and then put that video into your editing software from your phone. So we will go through that step by step, and I actually will try again at the end to like reiterate that if you guys want to learn how to use these apps, you know, we can do another course like this and actually show you guys a little bit more of that. But that was a great question.
Yeah.
It was awesome. Okay. So the other apps that I'm mentioning on here, Ripple, Canva, and PhotoGrid, these are more like, they're not as much for video editing, but they're really good for creating moving pictures and moving promotions for things that you have. So what I love about Ripple is, again, just like Quick, it has embedded templates, but these are way more customizable. You can add your logo, you can add different videos, and it really is one of the things that I used when I started my business to promote inspirational quotes and also things like quick facts about gear. And so I would go on there and make these 15 to 30-second videos easily through their templates and just typing in an inspirational quote, and it would animate it for you. So what's so cool is that if you're also just wanting to, you're like, I don't have really a lot of content right now, Carla, I'm just starting to get into this, or you're a photographer and you're like, but I want to figure out how to create more moving promotions with my photos. Ripple and Canva are great for that, especially Ripple, because like I said, you could put your photos in this template and it'll animate them for you. So it's a really good resource for someone that, you know, isn't necessarily just a musician or a creator for video. This is really good if you're also a photographer or doing different things with other types of press materials that you have. PhotoGrid also allows you to do that too. So when you want to add logos and things like that, it's just important to have these apps, because if you are editing on your phone, and let's just say in the edit, you want to include a photo, you want to make sure that photo is edited always. And so PhotoGrid or even Lightroom on your phone allows you to make it better for video. So just consider that, like, you don't just need to edit videos, you need to edit your photos too, especially if you're going to put them in a sequence together.
Mm-hmm. That's a great point too, because I never really think about, you know, making sure like each piece that you put together is good, or you're like focusing on each piece before it becomes part of the final product. So that's a good point, Carla. I like that.
Thanks. And the last apps that we're talking about here are Smart Recorder, Voice Recorder Pro. So sometimes people are like, Carla, I don't even have $20 to afford a lavalier or a microphone. I get it. It can be expensive, especially when you start adding up tripods and all these other things, right? So what's awesome is that your iPhone and your Android have recorder apps that you can download. Now, the recorder apps are only going to be slightly better than what you have on, you know, your regular phone, but you can manipulate things like limiting, like make sure that my voice doesn't peak when I'm hard rocking in my living room, and making sure that you are able to save those voice files and then put them into your video afterwards. So the voice recorder apps are also really good when you're on the road. Let's just say you're like kind of running around and you thought of something, a video idea or something. These voice recorder apps allow you to kind of save some of that information, or a voiceover you want to do to put in your video. So voice recorder apps can be used for different things. I've used them for quick voiceovers when the person really couldn't be there, and it worked, you know, because it was just an online video that they wanted really quick, some quick little voiceover, and it works. So voice recorder apps, you know, can be pretty useful. And iPhone has a better microphone than some of these Android phones. I just got to say so. And so because of that, their voice recorder apps are even better. And so some of those are going to be really good for like pre-recording audio. Like I mentioned, that you want to do voiceover or anything like that you want to put in your videos.
Cool. Awesome. And Ellen said, yes, please. I assume that was in reference to the doing another course, I
Oh yeah,
think
yeah,
is what it came in,
yeah.
Ellen. Let me know if this
Believe
is
me,
correct. But
I
yeah.
love editing on my phone because like these apps can be, a little bit complicated at first when someone doesn't understand it. But I definitely think that could be a good course because everything from how to upload your logo onto your photos and how to customize different settings on there would be very useful for a lot of people. So
Very
working
cool.
the camera.
Awesome, guys.
All right, so we got the gear, we have the apps, we're ready to go, we're in our space. And then people forget about the importance of who's on the other side of the camera, right? So
Yeah.
working the camera is so important, guys, because it's not about necessarily planning everything you're going to say, but you need to give people access to who you are and where they can find you, because the whole point of posting videos is so that people can come back and either purchase your music, your product, or whatever it may be. So the first thing you want to do is introduce yourself and maybe start exploring with creating a consistent intro. There is some artists that I see on YouTube that will say the same introduction for every video, and that actually creates communities of people. Like I've seen people, like there's this one channel that I watch where they're called Creative Weirdos. That's what their community is called. And so you can, by introducing yourself, you're engaging viewers and being a little bit more personable than just posting your fancy music video or like your awesome like documentary. Like sometimes this is that one time that you can be completely vulnerable and just be like, hey, subscribe to my channel. Here's what I'm putting in front of you, and here's who I am. So introducing yourself is extremely important, and engaging with viewers. Sometimes people forget that it is not just a camera that's watching you. Even if there's two people watching your live stream, that is two people that could send your music to a record label or someone that might want to sponsor your next video. You never know. And so engaging viewers by asking them questions, reminding them to leave comments on what other videos, because there's going to be days that you're going to be kind of creatively blocked and you're like, what should I create? By engaging with your viewers, you're allowing yourself to get more creative ideas, but directly from the people who want to watch you. So engaging your viewers is extremely, extremely important. And, you know, it's really difficult to think about going from the stage to online when it comes to being a host or a musician. And all of a sudden now you're in your home. I've been watching some of my friends like Kelty Knight or Kevin Frazier filming from their house. And it's a completely different setup. You don't have all the makeup artists and the fancy lighting and all that kind of stuff. But just know that from stage to online, you can still express yourself and not limit it just because you're in a smaller space. So if you feel emotional, like don't hold back from expressing yourself, because that's going to engage viewers. But of course, from the stage to online also means this is going to be closer up. That's one thing I have to say, because here's the reality. If I go all the way over here, and I would have done the whole conversation from here, it wouldn't work.
Yeah. Carla. Oh, there she goes. Okay.
So you have to think about the fact that your video is your stage, but it's the frame that's more of your actual stage, because you can't just all of a sudden put your camera, 20 feet in front of you and then go all the way in the back and expect people to hear you, see your expressions and engage with you. So be aware again of your space when it comes to working the camera, because you want to be able to express yourself, but you also want to be as close to people as possible, not as far and unreachable, because when you're on stage, it already is that experience for them. This is that one time that you get to be more personable and more intimate with people. So it's a little bit weird at first, because you're like, no one's here, but there are a lot of people there and a lot of people are watching. So you have to be aware of things like that, of how different it is to perform in your home than it is on stage.
And I will have to say that from someone who's done a lot of performances and been in a band for a long time, like I never thought twice about how different it would be to make video content or even live stream. Like, I'm just like, you know what? And even prior to that, I was a corporate trainer, so I was, facilitate classes and all that kind of stuff. So I'm like, I'm really comfortable in front of people, all that kind of stuff. It's really weird to be comfortable on a stage in front of people or in a small group or in front of thousands of people and then sit here and looking at a green dot and have to do 16 takes because oh no, I just no, this is no, it's not, that's not me, and I found myself literally getting in my head so many times because it is such a different stage. But I think once you can look past that, or at least for me, once I was able to look past that and I was able to mentally see people, whether it was live or not, obviously
Well,
you've got,
the way I thought about it was like
yeah,
this. Not every performer is a Motley Crue, Justin Bieber that can fill, 75,000 people stadiums.
true.
So when you're playing, for 100 people, at a bar and in LA, but then all of a sudden you're performing online and there's 300 people on there from all around the world, the impact and the reach could be way farther than sometimes when you are on the stage. And
Yeah.
so that's why I think it's important for people to not only take advantage about finding their way to be themselves on camera, knowing that it is a little different, but also knowing that you're actually you have the potential of getting more people to watch you in your room than you would actually going out and performing. And that is the reality for a lot of performers and songwriters who are trying to make it, who aren't performing in front of, thousands of people. And then there are the people who are, and then now you have a fan base that you can continue to just build on. So it is really, really valuable to recognize the difference, but also see the value in doing this content from home.
And that is something that I have put in a couple of blog posts and talked to folks that I've done coaching calls with, but literally the actual environment that we're in now with everything being online and just with the pandemic and all of that, like I've said this to a couple of musicians, I'm like, all of your current fans and all of your future fans are online right now looking for someone like you
To engage with,
to engage
communicate
with.
with.
And what a great opportunity it is right now to engage with them and then be thinking long term, like what can you build now that you can keep going on a recurring basis so that even when the gigs do start again, just like Carla mentioned, you've got this new audience of people that would never be able to physically come to your gig, but now maybe on a every Thursday you're going online and you're doing a show to your global audience, and then Friday and Saturday you're going to perform to your local audience.
Yeah, it doesn't have to stop like as soon as the quarantine is over. Like
Yeah.
we need to engage with people because this is how you build these audiences, and now you can maybe start performing across the country and then maybe
Yeah.
across the pond, so
Seriously.
it's so and then of course when it comes to visual presentation and style, we talked a little bit about space, but also guys, like obviously, like I made this really funny thing today on TikTok. I thought it was funny about like things you do when people can't see you on a Zoom call. And one of the things that I said is I grabbed this blanket and I was like, dressing like a hobo, right? So like you're just like chilling. So like obviously don't do a video of you looking like this. Try and be, think about your style, like how you usually dress. Don't try and be something you're not. Be in your comfort zone. This also allows you to share things, like once you share your style, you can start sharing your merch and things like that too. So, think about style and presentation, because things like that can inspire things like merchandise, sponsorship opportunities. If you're someone, for example, who loves drinking smart water and stuff like that, well, obviously you can't just like have that on there, but maybe like you're drinking water in a cup every single episode or something to let people know, like, I love hydration, but I don't like to drink alcohol, sponsor me. So it's just presentation and style can actually get the attraction of other people to want to invest in you in a different way than I think people imagine. It's not just about your audience, but it's about also other people that are watching that might want to invest in you. So I think visual presentation and style is a chance for you to bring in some of those aspects that might engage people to be like, oh, okay, like I want to buy her merch, or I want to, get into a
Support.
partnership with them,
That's cool. Yeah. Just, how can I like what they're doing. I like what they're saying. How can I support them?
Yeah, so that's why like it is important to, not necessarily like, well, how we would dress for work, or for an
Hmm.
interview, on camera, consider those things too. Like you don't have to wear makeup every day. I hate makeup, but when it
Me
comes to
too,
things,
girl.
yeah, so it's like I get it, but when it comes to things like, at least the visual presentation, just don't wear pajamas, and have your hair at least slightly done, or freshly shaven, whatever department you're in with your hair. But think think of that stuff, guys, because like I said, it is a way for sponsors and other people to be more attracted to what you have to offer as far as potential sponsorship, merchandise, partnerships, all that kind of stuff. And of course, before you finish every video, you have to have an outro. Like I've seen so many freaking videos that at the end I'm like, what? Where's your website? Where do you go?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
make sure you tell people continually in every single episode to subscribe, to go to your website, to know where to follow you. You have to learn that like a muscle, because
Hmm.
there's going to be moments where this actually translates to your interviews too. If someone asks you stuff, they're not going to expect you can't always expect someone to know where to go just because they saw your video or just because they interviewed you. You need to always bring that into the conversation, because that's your main, stamp on your brand. So making sure to tell people where to follow, is so important. That's why you need to have the social media apps downloaded
Yeah.
as part of your gear.
And two, the other, another way to think about it too is like every piece of content that you create, every video that you make, assume that you are going to have someone that is seeing you for the first time on everything you make.
That's such a good point. That is such a
Yeah.
good point. That's why, like, you have to reiterate to people, this is who I am. This is where you need to go. And it really creates like a really cool brand for you, because
Mhm.
people like will recognize you for that. So, um, all right, moving on to
Awesome.
the last part, guys. We're getting towards
Yeah.
the end of this.
Yeah, you guys, thanks so much. If you got questions, please keep them coming. I see Christina said yes, another course would be great. Awesome. So we've got a couple of folks that have chimed in for that, and obviously after we get wrapped up here, we'll see if there's a opportunity to continue on and do some other stuff here. But
Yes.
now that you've made your
Yeah.
now
This
that
is
you've
this
made your stuff,
this is the part that people hate. This
yeah,
is the
it's
part
like,
that,
oh,
but
cool, I'm done now. I'm cool. I
yeah.
made it. It's like, but
Or you're yelling at your phone or your computer for the next hour because you have no idea what the heck you're doing. So
right, right,
the
right.
great thing, guys, is that a lot of the apps and a lot of the things that we talked about today will make the exporting process of your video so easy on your phone. But one of the things that was mentioned today that is extremely important is, what if this is not a phone video? Or what if I transfer everything onto my computer and it's no longer on my phone? How can I upload this and get my content out there? So these apps that we listed on here, I actually want to say that everyone needs to have some sort of cloud. And when it comes to Google Drive or iCloud, it's not just about just storing your photos for endless and endless, amounts of gigabytes, but it's also a great way for you to access your videos and photos wherever you are, on your laptop, on your desktop computer, or on your phone. And when things like the quarantine end, let's all, send good prayers towards that. But like
Yes.
once that happens, you might be, for example, waiting for an appointment and you have to upload this video and you're not at your computer. These apps are made to sync up all of your entertainment and technical apps together, so that it makes it really easy for you to upload your content. So starting with Dropbox allows you to have a certain amount of gigabytes for free that you can upload per day, or you can get a business account. The cool thing with Dropbox is it is for free, and it is free on your phone as well. And what I love about it is that it also is a great way to share with a bunch of different companies and stuff like that, because there might come a time where someone's like, hey, I have a platform that wants to like upload all your videos. You need to have a space where you can access these things and access them quick, because the last thing you want to do is do like what maybe some of our parents do, where they're like, I remember that one picture from like 4 years ago. And you're like, Mom, you're never going to find it. So creating an archive for yourself through an app like Dropbox or WeTransfer, which is very similar, are both not only free, but also compatible with your computer and your phone. So if you do have a lot of things on your computer already and they were never on your phone before, you can upload it to Dropbox or WeTransfer, go onto the app on your phone, and directly download the video into your device. And that will now let you access any of your phone-based apps to edit that content. So that's what makes it so simple. These are really easy to use because you just drag and drop your files. There's no science to this, guys. It can be movie files, JPEGs, MP4s, MP3s. So it's not like it's really complicated in that way. So once you do that, that's really easy. And it works in the reverse. If you're someone who wants to edit on your computer and you filmed on your phone, you can directly upload your videos to Dropbox from your phone and then access it on your desktop to download it straight to your computer and then into your editing system when you drag in your files and you import your media. So that is something that people, kind of get intimidated by, because I literally have millennials who are like, I don't use Dropbox. I don't know what Dropbox is at all. And it's like, well, how are you going to send me all these files? I'm not going to go on YouTube and download every single video. Right. So having some sort of accessible drive is so important because it also, archives all your content and it makes it easy for you to find it. But of course, Google Drive and iCloud, everyone has that as long as you have an Android or you have an iPhone. So you already have a certain amount of gigs that they allow you. Google Drive is easy to share on your phone. It's easy to share online. So all of these four that I mentioned right at the top, Dropbox, Google Drive, iCloud, WeTransfer, if you have any of these apps, you will be able to easily upload from your phone to your computer or vice versa. So just know that as long as you download the apps on your phone and you have them on your desktop and you have a login, you should be able to sync everything up. Now, be careful when you're syncing up your stuff though, because sometimes people will sync up everything, including their WhatsApp images, their downloads, their screenshots, and then you're gonna run out of space. So be conscious of your archive, because Google Drive right now until January of 2021 is allowing unlimited uploads of like photos and videos. So there's some platforms that allow you to have more, but then Google, something like Dropbox does limit you, I think, to like 10 gigs or something. Yeah. And then you have to upgrade, and it's not that expensive to upgrade either. For the business, it's like a few $100, and then you literally get like terabytes and terabytes to upload. But that's one form of using uploading platforms. Then where is it? And then of course you can organize very easily on stuff like Google Drive and Dropbox. You can organize your archives really easily too. So even on Google Drive, you can even like put like face recognition now. Like, oh, this is my video that I did with this person, that I did with this person. So these are getting even better. Now, we already mentioned how it's all linked to your phone, but the last piece of important memory that you need to have or access to certain files is using USB and external hard drives. So what does that mean? This is an external hard drive, and this is a mini USB. Both of these have some limitations in storage. This one's a 32 gig. This is just one that I have on Access, but they have some that go up to like 128 gigs. And then the external hard drives, these are amazing because companies like Seagate, Western Digital, which is not my favorite, these can go up to like terabytes and terabytes and terabytes. This one's only a 2 terabyte, but I have as high as 10 terabytes. But these are really cool because these are things that you can take with you with your computer. So if you're someone who has a lot on your computer and are like trying to clear out a lot of stuff because you're like, my archive is getting big and I can't upload stuff anymore onto my Dropbox or my Google Drive and all this stuff, You would take one of these or the external drive that I showed you guys. And these can, yep, there we go. That's awesome.
Got a G drive.
So these you can connect directly to your laptop or your computer, transfer all your files, and even your phone files, by the way. You can upload all your phone files on your computer and then transfer them to an external drive, clear out a lot of your media, and now you have that space again. So if you're someone like Carla, I can't afford a $300, Dropbox business account, get external drives. So once your laptop gets full, or don't wait till it gets full, you can start transferring to these drives. And these drives can range anywhere between like $40 all the way to, a few hundred to even $1,000 or even more. So go on Amazon, check it out, see what's best for you. But I do recommend Seagate, and places like Costco sometimes have great discounts on them. So, but that's another way that you guys can save your content without having to necessarily have a Google Drive, Dropbox, WeTransfer, and all these different accounts. You can spend money on some external drives and save your stuff there.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've definitely had a couple of, crashes and stuff like that over the years. So it's been great to be able to have an external drive, and I just have to, one thing with an external drive, you just have to remember to back it up.
Yes, and what's so great is, like, I know I mentioned Costco, and I know not everyone on here is a member, but like the cool thing is that some of these companies now are coming with recovery already embedded into it. So like, as long as you sign up your drive on the website for the main brand, so like Seagate, for example, you sign up and register your drive. If something happens to it, and like literally, let's just say it explodes, they will replace it for you, as long as it's not something that you directly did, like you didn't throw it off a cliff or something like that. So there are recovery options embedded into your external drives. And if they don't, as Leonard said, make sure you back them up, and also don't make sure you just use that same drive for like 20 years. Like these drives will break down on you if you use them like crazy. So just, once you fill them up, archive them, or get a really big one, and you can start uploading a lot of stuff. But for now, we're not, honestly, with YouTube videos, online videos, phone videos, you're not going to be filling up a terabyte that quick. So I think that as long as you're conscious about how you're saving your footage, this is a great list of options that you have at your fingertips.
Very cool. Yeah, good question, guys. And yeah, we had a comment here that you can create alternative emails just to use more drive space. That's a nice hack.
Yeah, that's a nice little loophole. Whatever works. And I think Larry thoughts related to flow.
Yeah.
Time blocking. Okay. Yeah. So I'm actually working on this right now as we speak. It's a great question, Tyler. My best advice is to do each video to completion before you start the next video. Why I'm saying that is because until you get used to producing tons of content and pumping out edits really fast, it can get overwhelming, and you might end up actually multitasking so many videos that you won't actually finish and upload them. So my best advice is to film, upload your stuff, and edit all within a span of about 2 days. Upload that, and if you're uploading at that pace, you should be uploading at least two to 3 great videos a week. And that's a lot. And I'm not talking about other videos that you're doing where you're just going on and you're saying, hey guys, love you guys. I'm talking about the videos where you're actually sitting there and performing, or you did a whole DIY or how to. I would say that blocking out to do everything to its completion before you start the next video. And as far as time blocking, a lot of these things with editing, everyone has a different pace. I can edit something in an hour that might take someone 8 hours. So one thing I would say is don't be so hard on yourself with having to schedule this perfectly. Just make sure that when you are scheduling, that you're doing it in a way where you are creating a flow where you're doing one project at a time. So you're making sure you're saving things properly, archiving them properly, uploading them the way you want to, and shooting it the way you want to. Because maybe the way you did that first video, you upload it and you're like, you know what? I didn't like it. I'm going to try something a little different this next time. and then it does great. Well, the workflow might have been different for that. So try a few
Hmm.
different things, but I would say the best practice is to really just focus on the filming and the completion of that and the upload and backing up before you start the next project. I just really think that that will help you pump out more content because you're focused more on, finishing it, getting it out there, and then starting the next one. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, and another thing too, Tyler, to tag on to what Carla said, that you can kind of build into that process is to jot down how long it takes you for each process. So that way you can have an idea of, okay, I know that, and Tyler is an awesome saxophone player, piano player, musician, and does tons of corporate events. And
Amazing.
hopefully you're getting some reschedules in there, Tyler. And everybody's not canceling, but no, he does great videos and has tons of videos of his performances and things like that. But yeah, if you're able to like jot down like
I
how
saw a
long it
sax
takes you.
I saw
Okay.
a saxophone video recently with 50 million views.
What?
And he was doing a cover of Dance Monkey. Tyler, if you haven't seen it, it's pretty amazing. But
Yeah.
that's like the viral potential that
Hmm.
everyone on this call has to get their stuff out there,
Yeah.
as long as you are scheduling yourself. Time blocking and writing down how long everything is taking you is going to be really good. And it also won't put too much pressure on yourself because you'll be able to know, okay, it took me this long. We're not all trying to be professional editors here, professional videographers. So don't worry about the speed, worry about the quality.
Cool. I said yeah. But yeah, that's cool. And so yeah, that's a great and just to tag on here because I already know Tyler, and Tyler's out here in Southern California, Carlo,
Okay.
by the way. But yeah, he did literally saw a video of him probably last year or whatever, but he was playing the saxophone while surfing. Yeah, talk about something that needs to go viral, dude. We're gonna see what we do.
Yeah, yes, yes. And
But
that's
awesome.
actually why, I think this was all, a great discussion to cover a lot of areas because repurposing some of this content, and I'm just going to touch on this really quick. If you
Yeah.
already have content that you shot, that doesn't mean only because it got 100 views or 1,000 views, then if it hasn't gotten more views since, repost it. There's
Mm-hmm.
no reason why you shouldn't repurpose, repost content, and see where that gets you, because someone might not have seen, including myself, a saxophone surfer, and that might be something that you want to repurpose. So if you're someone who's also kind of intimidated after today and you're like, I don't really know how I can just start, use some of the old footage you have and maybe start by practicing on some of these apps and putting out some stuff until you get more comfortable to start filming yourself.
Very great tip. That's definitely one of the things is that one piece of content does not necessarily ever have to be just one piece of content.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Karen asked, will you have this recorded for people who missed it, or for those of you that might want to see it again and like listen to certain parts? And yes, that is actually one of the things I was going to address here as we were wrapping up. But first of all, everyone, please help me and thank Carla. Obviously, if you're clapping, we can't hear you, but put something in the comments and thank Carla for your expertise, your
Thank
time.
you,
This was
Leonard.
awesome. Um, but yeah, what I think that I want to do is I literally was just thinking about having this be a temporary Facebook group just for this webinar. But if there's interest in maybe having some additional um, people that want to get in that maybe didn't see it, we can go ahead and keep this group open for maybe a longer period of time just to maybe come back to, and we can also post some of the resources that we talked about in here.
Yes, I'll get together a list of some of those, but with links, so that when we repost it on the Facebook group, you guys can easily go to each of the links. So that'll be things like the tripods we talked about, some of the voice recorders, and some of the microphones.
Awesome. And yeah, and so I'll also make sure that I send out the resources to those of you that have registered on Eventbrite. So we do have emails, and with Eventbrite, it was kind of hard to tell like if they went to spam or went to other folders. So we'll cover all our bases, but we'll have info in here as well as we'll make sure everyone gets emailed that registered to for the course. So yeah, thank you.
Thanks, you
Oh, awesome,
guys.
you guys.
Thank you, Julia. Thank you, Tyler. And of course, you guys saw that's our information on where to follow us at WiseOwlMG, WiseOwlMediaGroup.com. You can see my video reel on there and learn more about my services. But of course, like if you guys want to DM me after this, message me, and you're like, I want an individual like class on how to learn how to edit on my phone, message me on at WiseOwlMG, and I am pretty active and will be able to get back to you because I would love to help you guys, especially if some of you are just starting this journey of creating content from home.
Yeah, and that's a great. It just Carla's an awesome resource, and she's worked with a lot of different companies and entrepreneurs and things like that. So she obviously, as you can see from attending the webinar, she's an awesome resource. So please reach out to her. And obviously, we are all in this very unique situation of who would have thought, even just as a videographer or an editor or as a musician, that's like, okay, I'm going to prepare for maybe if this one club cancels my gig, or if I have this one thing that gets canceled, but everything all at once.
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah.
So yeah, anything that you guys can do, or anything that Carla or I can do to help you further reach your goals, that would be awesome.
And we're also looking into having Leonard host a how to live stream from home video, which is a completely different thing. So again, if you guys are interested in more of these webinars, we would love to put some together for you guys, because I think that, even though this was some of the basics, it really is a very universal thing for what we're all dealing with, having to learn some new things and some new tricks to get our word out there and to get our businesses out there. But this is just such a great opportunity, I think, for you and I too, to just share all this great knowledge. So we're really happy and glad that so many people came and joined us today. We really are. So please feel free to reach out and let us know what you guys are needing.
Yes. And so, Carla, I forget what was on the next steps.
Oh yeah,
Did we talk about that?
Yeah, so this is sort of what we were touching up. Yeah, so this is what we were sort of touching on right now. So some of the different courses that everything on the orange is me, and everything on the on the purple side is what Indie Band Coach is doing. But basically, we could do these as joint webinars with you guys. But we have some editing basics classes about how to actually edit on your phone, on iMovie, how to format your videos for different platforms, and how to do an introduction to editing on Adobe Premiere. And then for Indie Band Coach, we were talking with Leonard about all the different aspects of live streaming, from the gear to doing it on YouTube and other platforms like Facebook, and recording and how to get that done, because it is a different process. So if you guys are interested, they'd love to know about live streaming. That's great.
Yes, cool. Awesome, you guys. So Carla, once again, I just want to say thank you for taking the time out to share your info, your knowledge, and just let me pick your brain and answer all of these awesome questions. And all of you, thank you so much for tuning in. We are we're all kind of
grateful,
getting used to we're all kind of getting used to this new dynamic, and hopefully we don't have to get used to it too long. But as we are doing that, we are going to be here to help in any way that we can. But we will get those resources out to you all, and we will make sure that we get that list of stuff, because Carla mentioned some really great stuff, but the replay for this will be here in the group, and we'll also make sure that I will probably get it loaded up to my YouTube as an unlisted video, so that I can also send you the link. So if you wanted to catch it on YouTube or something, you could also get that link in email. So we'll make sure that you're able to catch it and go through that. Yeah. Awesome.
I love you guys. Right. Thanks for being here, everyone. And thanks, Leonard, for having me. I really appreciate you so much.
Thank you so much. All right, everyone. Be safe, be healthy, and we will talk to you soon. Thanks, everybody.